Hello, and welcome to another horrific review. As you can probably tell, I have a bit of time on my hands this week, so I'll try to get as many of these done as possible. This is a movie I had on my watch list for a couple of weeks. Never got around to watching it, and I thought, well, tonight I've done all my reading and other stuff, so I may as well give it a crack. What I did not realize was this is actually a remake of David Cronenberg movie, so it actually solidifies my opinion of it. So let's talk first. Rabid, 2019. Let's talk about it as a standalone movie. I should have had the warnings. Cameron and I have done loads of Canadian horror, especially Shudder originals or Shudder features over the last couple of years, and oh god, a lot of them are awful. This isn't really any different. I am not a fan of Laura Vandervoort. Remember back in the day, Smallville and all that, and she's a bit of a wooden plank, and her only thing seems to be running about in skimpy clothes, and that's her. That's it. And she's a beanpole, and that's her entire character. And she's just, I find her boring. I find her bland to watch. But I tried to put that aside for this. Now, this story starts off. It's a bit like the Devil Wears Prada type weirdness. Rose is the main character. She's playing a mousy wannabe fashion designer in the cutthroat world of fashion and all that vapid nonsense that I know it's designed that way, but even so, I have no interest in that world. It's not something that I even through a comedic lens or anything. I have no interest in these type of people. And there might be parodies, but I think there's enough reality, especially when you see social media is given us such a window now, I think, into Hollywood, fashion, the pop music industry, all that kind of stuff, where the veneer that might have been put up before is gone. I would know what sort of narcissistic, nasty piece of crap these people are, really. With a few exceptions, but generally, it's not a. If you want to go and work in that world, I don't get you. I don't know how you think you can go in there and change anything or be anything but what they are, because it's their sandpit, so to speak, their playground, their rules. Yeah, I don't get it. But she's playing this mousy character, awful weird, like I said, Del Ward Prada. Was it Anne Hathaway played that? That same, basically that same character, beat for beat. Like nothing to the role. She's got her own designs, but yet doesn't put anything forward. Doesn't have anything. If you remember, we reviewed Last Night in Soho. God, what do you call her? That actress, the New Zealander. She at least had a bit of spark about her as a student designer. She did make her own stuff. She had her own style. It was a bit quirky. She brought a bit of flavour to that world, and she was able to go in but step aside. But this character just had nothing to offer. And the reason I'm going on this, because this goes on for quite a bit before actually anything of note or horror worthy happens. Drags on, and she's playing this disorganized, jumps in a moped, bags slinging in her front and back, and she's late and dribble about the place. It's been done 100 times, and it's been done better at least 99 times. And it's just snore fest. And then we get to the actual accident. There's a whole premise of the story. A young fashion designer who has, well, not young, but she's, I think she's, I don't know, she's been around for ages anyway, but yeah, gets into a horrible accident which scars her. But the weird thing is that the player character who should already been in a car accident that killed her parents, and had this, and she had all these little tiny, probably can't see, but probably likes a lot that I have, or the little tiny white things, and the people in the fashion were acting as if she'd had a flipping like sword strikes to the face or something. Like, I know it's parody, but still, And I actually thought that was going to be the story. Her tiny little scars, her disfigured face, which just made me go, what the hell? But then she gets into the accident at 2 miles an hour on a moped and they cut it off. I've seen worse being worse. Just daft. But then it goes to the scene of her in the hospital and the bandages, and you've got every bloody cliche you can imagine. Now, she's disfigured, but she's got bandages on her face, because she's sustained injuries, open wounds, prevent infection. And the doctor, yeah, go ahead, take off your bandages. I wouldn't expect you to, here's a burra, but don't look at burras too often. It's stupid, absolutely stupid. But the whole point was to show the effects. And her open wounds, her mouth was wired shut and she had open wounds, which you wouldn't take bandages off until they're healed. It's just, this is painful, genuinely painful to watch, just with the stupidity of the script and, like I said, wooden plank acting. But yeah, she gets out of hospital. She goes to stay with her friend because somehow her having a crash, because they didn't put a timeline on it, meant she lost her apartment, or her friend got her apartment from her. No, it turned out she's like a foster sister, because she went and lived with this one and her parents because they had to bring her in, and it served absolutely no purpose. But yeah, she now goes to live with her. She has to drink through a straw, all that kind of stuff. And then she finds out about this wonder clinic that offers experimental surgery or something, and groundbreaking, all that, blah, blah, blah. Creepy cult, it just screams out creepy cult. It's beating you over the head, like there's no if, buts, or maybes. And she goes there, and yes, you qualify, well done. Just like, oh my God, what's happened here? And then when she goes to book into the place and she goes to the operation, oh my God, the operating scene is just tragic, because they're going to do the operation and they all dress up in robes, like proper ritual robes, because that's hygienic cloth. And then the piece of resistance on says he's all dressed up in robes, and then she sticks these like do magnifying things over the doctor, and it just goes ding, and makes me think of the googly eyes with the springs. I'm just like, oh God, I'm out. But I committed myself to doing it to make the review, and here I am. Yeah, this whole thing's tragic. And then they show her this miracle, God, what is it, skin or something, and it's what do you call that, gels type stuff, and they've got LED lights in it. You basically see the battery pack and stuff as a layer on. It's going womp womp womp. And oh dear God, this is terrible. Really, is this what we're reduced to today? I can even forgive computer generated effects as opposed to that. This is absolutely sorry for my genomes. I do apologize. Yeah, and then next thing I know, she's cured of everything. Not only is she cured of her horrific injuries, but her previous injuries. She doesn't need glasses anymore. It's the the bloody secretary trope where they undo their hair and they take off their glasses and shirt and then they become a different person. It's that. This is exactly what it's playing into. Or what do you call her in that shitty Witcher series, Jennifer? That's crap. This is the same sort of thing. As you can tell, I didn't enjoy this movie. Yeah, and then it goes on. The bit that got me, gives her a special protein drink, pills and all that kind of stuff, and tells her to report in if anything goes wrong, that kind of stuff. And sure, and she gets this huge bloody dopey syringe. And I'll tell you, I'm a big lad, and the amount of smoothie stuff she's supposed to be drinking, of course, it's pure red, because it's horror. This is how shit this movie is. She's choking herself because she's trying to squeeze all at once. Like, who does that? Doesn't matter what your mouth. I wouldn't do that. I'll be like me taking a 3 pint friggin' glass and just, trying to squirt it all down through once. You wouldn't do it. So this was just unnecessary drama for drama's sake with no actual substance. And it just made me nauseated, just going, what are you doing? God, what happens? I kind of zoomed out through most of the rest of this, but turns out she starts developing nightmares and then she's eating people and stuff and blah blah blah. It sort of meanders along, and God, she's this love interest who is a creepy dude, but he's all right. This keeps turning up, and then the German designer is a flake. But she gets her gig, she starts dreaming and doing designs, and then it becomes the best thing, and it's going to be she's the designer he wants all of a sudden, after this miracle cure, because blah. She's shown no creativity. Never mind playing the dowdy, downtrodden, whatever. She's shown no creativity or actual talent until she gets this miracle skin put on her, because it's one of them dopey tropes. And now he's just the head designer, and she's in partnership, and she's going to have her stuff in partnership with him for his new range on the catwalk, yada yada yada. And then it turns out she's eating people in the background. I don't care about spoil this movie because it's shit, honestly. It's not even worth, like, you can see where it's going. Like, there's no surprises or anything. And of course, she goes back a couple of times to the clinic, and they're being creepy. And then it all sort of meanders along till the end, and then people are getting bit. Now, this is where it gets good, actually. There are a few decent scenes, so I'll give it this. She bites 2 people, and one of them, an actor she meets at the clinic because they're not monitoring or anything. He goes into a movie scene or a sitcom scene, and then he just goes absolutely ballistic. It was one of the best scenes in the movie, actually. And he starts eating one of the other actors. Oh, comments. Oh, and we have Chris. So back again, can't stay away, I'm not a fan of when characters' movies are dumber than I am. This actually made me lose a few IQ points, I'll be honest. Set the bar quite low, and if they can't meet that threshold, it takes me out of suspended disbelief. In particular, Laura Vanderbilt, I don't like her. She's a wooden plank. She always has been, even back in the Smallville days. She was nothing inspiring. She's really no personality, no endearing qualities that makes me want to see anything she's in. There was actually a werewolf movie I was going to watch a couple of months ago. She was in it. I lasted 20 seconds into the first scene, just flipped it off. I'm like, nah, not doing it. She really does bug me. Oh, getting busy tonight. Greetings, Dale. Welcome. You're just hearing me pan on a movie. But what I am going to do, because I ended up watching the original straight after it, because I didn't realize it was a remake, and I'll have a different opinion on that. So we'll split this into 2. Let's get this crappy movie out of the way. Dumb flipping Canadian remake. Even though David Cronenberg would be the exception to the rule, like he's a quite decent filmmaker. We can forgive him being Canadian, but generally Canadian movies are just, oh my god, what we've seen so far. But yeah, that was a good scene though, in the studio with the guy going crazy, and then there was another one. I'm mixing 2 up. People start going, rabid. And that's the whole premise behind the show. You don't want to watch this one. You want to watch the original, but we'll get that in a wee minute. I put the link to this one, but I might change it and put the link to the original. I'll dig it up and I'll change the description, because maybe it's all right just to compare. Or, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth giving the film the watch time. Yeah, people start losing it and biting people. And then that's where the whole thing about it being an infection comes out, and it's basically turned into a zombie movie. But they're using a strain of rabies, which nobody knew. And Rose's characters run about half in and out, and then it comes to the climax where she's at the fashion, the fashion show. And God, I don't know how anyone could go to one of those things. Just to me, just seems like an absolute boring waste of time. But it starts happening, and then her friend slash foster sister or something appears, and it turns out she got bitten in the subway on the way up. Just dropped. Nobody has a first aid kit. Like, this is a large building with lots of people, and therefore there's various health and safety laws. So apparently, in a building this size, and because of the uncare nature, nobody has a first aid kit. So nobody takes a wound and dresses. She just sits with a scarf in it, bleeding, and they're dressed her up in the final outfit, the super duper outfit from her imagination. And I just think, what the hell is this? They're away. Like, she convinces all pallid and sick. You're like, I don't know much about the fashion industry. I don't care, but I'm pretty sure if someone's sick and pus coming out of them and blood dripping, they're not going to stick them up the catwalk. They're going to swap them out for someone else. That's pretty much it. But no. It's just excuse me. This movie's that bad. It's making me cough again. God, I must be having an allergic reaction to it. Yeah. So we'll go ahead with this anyway. Rose goes to sit down with I can't remember his name. Don't care. God, what is it? Gunther. Yeah, Gunther. Yeah, pseudo German. That kind of nonsense. Because that's the way of fashion. You have to have some sort of fake accent to be exotic or something. It's all very strange. But you do you, people. Enjoy yourselves with it. I'm just going to sit back here and laugh. Yeah, so she's sitting down, and somebody comes on the catwalk, and they're pus streaming out of their eyes, then they fall over, then they get back up again. Everyone's like nobody rushes to their health as they fall off the catwalk, and then they start jumping on people and eating them, and then what's her face's friend comes out like 3 costumes early and just taking off the mask thing of her thing. She's like, ah. And I'm like, oh my god, this is whatever. And then her love interest slash partner, whatever, it's like, let's get out of here. Drags her away while everybody else gets eaten, and then the policemen start shooting everybody. But we're not over. This is where it gets extremely daft. Now go back to the clinic. And it turns out it's all a great conspiracy. So this guy, Brad, has been paid by the doctor to keep an eye on her. And every time she eats somebody, because apparently she eats somebody, goes unconscious, and he's able to bring her back to her apartment or whatever to hide the evidence. And he's been doing this all along to bring her. And it turns out it's all some sort of great conspiracy to create the next. God, what was the plan? It's some diabolical world-changing plan. I mean, to cure death, I think it was. Yeah, to cure death and immortality and all that, but blah, blah, blah. Oh, but it seems it's a weird tube thing comes out of her armpit. And that's what stabs people and drinks from them, because, yeah, that was a cracking idea, but it was based on the original one, so I get where it came from. But, yeah, she locks him in this. Doctor leads him in this vault, locks the door, it's all red lights because spooky woo. And it turns out his wife, who had cancer, had the same treatment, but the cancer became super whatever. And then she's this thing with tentacles stapled to the wall, going, ah! I'm like, what the hell is this? Meet the new evolution in humanity. Yeah, that's Dr. Evil has bloody better plans than you friggin' Egypt. Yeah. And then just gets daft. Then she attacks Brad and kills him. She kills the wife, then she slits her own throat. And then You think it was end there, but no, we'll have another 5 minutes of shite to go through. And then fast forwards, he's got a load of dogs like running around the grounds, which we've never seen before. And you'd think it makes it set up that he's feeding them, as if he was setting them up to be the next thing, but it's not. It's just a weird scene. But he's in the kitchen, he's making a steak, and then we see all these little eel-like things in a jar, which is supposed to be this, whatever it is meant to be, because it never really explained. Was it an alien? Was it super genetic evolution or something on the rabies virus? Just daft things in the jar going bloop, 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 bloop. Then he goes back. It turns out that Rose's character hasn't actually died because she's now immortal. How did this finish? My brain switched off. My brain actually shut down in self-defense at this point and just went, nah, no more. So, do you know what? It probably was. Because you know why the Canadians are all bloody communists, and they love locking people in their homes and stuff and all that weird stuff. They probably were making this an allegory, because it wouldn't bloody surprise me. A lot of the stuff the Canadian filmmakers went and shutters, all modern day guff, to be honest, told through the modern day lens, and whatever. I'm exhausted with it. But yeah, it was shit. It ended somehow. I didn't care. My brain twitched off at that point. Went, nah, no more. But interestingly enough, straight on my playlist afterwards was the original 1977 Rabid by David Cronenberg. So it only seemed right. See, it was there. I was about to play. May as well watch it and see what the original's like compared to it. And in fairness, it was a much better movie. It was well done. Even the effects were better than this one. Come play. I haven't heard that one. I'll look it up. Is that a recent thing? But back to this one. I mean, watching the original, it was a completely different story. This remake wasn't even remotely. All it did was two things. Rose as a character wasn't even the same character, and the tube thing coming out of the armpit. That was the only semblance between this remake and the original movie. The original movie's watchable, even though it's 1977. It's actually a much better movie. Starts off, they do the accent even better, because it's Rose and her boyfriend on a bike, and they crash into somebody, and that sets it off. It's somebody looking for directions, and they park themselves sideways on a country road, and that causes the bike to smash into it. Much better done than the dozy crap I watched in the 2019 version. The weird thing is, there's a bit of unintentional comedy. We have this clinic, which isn't the main hospital, but it's like a private clinic, and people are looking with binoculars, almost as if it's a watchtower. Oh, I just saw an explosion, and they just happen to have binoculars. Oh, there's been an explosion, with better send the ambulance over there. You're like, okay, whatever. But they do, and it's just by coincidence that accidentally that happens to come in contact with the clinic. And both, was he Ben as well? Frank, her boyfriend in this, they both get injured. She's obviously more severely injured, and they try and bring them both back to the clinic. He's got superficial injuries where he can be transferred to the hospital because of the state of her injuries. They keep her, and they do the timeline. They go 1 month later, so they show she's been part of intensive treatment, and that's done so much better. And even the operating scene, it's a normal operating scene, and he explains that yes, they're using skin grafts, but rather than putting the skin grafts right on, they're going to treat the skin grafts, and this is how the virus or whatever it is gets into your system. So even the premise of how she gets this infection is explained so much better, and it's purely by coincidence, by people trying to do good, and that's a better story. of evil or horror is when someone's genuinely trying to do good, but unintentionally does evil things. To me, that makes a more engaging story than the mustache twirling, cat stroking, villain. That's just done and dusted. It's overdone. It's pathetic. So this, in its own way, tells a much tighter story. Marilyn Chambers, who's actually, and this is what makes it even funnier. Marilyn Chambers apparently is a porn actress, or was a porn actress. She passed in 1989 or something, or early 2000s. She gives a better performance than a mainstream actress, which I just think is hilarious. If you know porn acting, you know porn acting's notoriously bad. So it's just funny that a porn actress actually gives a better performance here. And it's all done well. It's the whole thing in the hospital. There's no nefarious plot behind it. It just turns out that it was a strain of the rabies virus, because in the 70s, early 80s, that was a big scare. Rabies was the frightening virus that could wipe out like entire ecosystems, wildlife. UK, I think Australia, New Zealand as well. I think combined we have like some of the toughest laws over here in terms of rabies. So bringing animals in that aren't tested or not quarantined properly. The UK and I think Australia, New Zealand, I think we're similar. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Dale. I think we have some of the most stringent laws, because even today that disease can decimate, absolutely decimate livestock and humans, because it's transferable from animal to human. That's a frightening thing from it. So that was a big thing in the 70s. So you can understand them playing into that. But it was done so much better. Look over there. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. So this is still a frightening thing, the fact that the laws are so stringent about it, because we know the actual devastation it can cause. They probably have made a movie. I'll be honest, they probably made a movie called that, and if you dare say it on YouTube, you'll get a human reviewer coming and shut you down if you don't say the right words in the right sequence. This is how draconian we've got with all this nonsense, which is just stupid. And then you wonder what the hell's going on really behind it as an excuse, because when people start shutting down the conversation, then you start getting suspicious. That's just my thing. But yeah, you can see the parallels with the 2019 version, but you can see where it comes from in the 70s, but there isn't the venom behind it. It's just telling a scary story and using people's fears and something people are familiar with and taking it to the next degree and making it horror. The Rose character in the 1970 version, much better rounded, and she doesn't know herself the actions she's taken, so it's almost like the lycanthrope, werewolf that transforms and don't understand that they're going out and killing, but it comes to them in dreams. She did it so much better. Wooden Plank in 2019 version, just just bobbled along the screen. And the funny thing is that Marilyn Chambers gets semi-nude, where Vandervoort does her usual skimpy stuff. Oh, look at me, and it's like nothing. And I have more respect for someone who's an actual porn star who isn't trying to be anything, just plays what she's got, but gives a performance and didn't even bat an eyelid. If that makes sense, using nudity or partial nudity has to be in context, and it has to be in depth of the character for it to be meaningful. If you're just doing it for the sake of it, to hide bad acting or bad storytelling, it has no worth whatsoever. Unless you're 13 and going through puberty, I suppose that might work, but if you're been around the block a bit, it kind of loses its effect. But there you go. And the side character as well, like the doctor, he gets infected and he goes rabid, and then they actually put him in a truck and you see it happening. The scenes were very similar to Dawn of the Dead, the way they did the infection going around. So this is a good infection movie, not a zombie movie, but the way they did it it was happening in the subway, it was happening in cafes, just people were going, what it was, every time she drunk of someone, she infected them, but then if they bit someone, they got infected. And it was done so well. It actually got a bit of gravitas. And also the special effects, like there was car crash scenes, there's the bit with the tentacle, there's outdoor scenes, indoor scenes. They're done so much better in the 1977 version than the 2019 with all our technology and things available to us. It's just funny that that movie actually holds up better today. It's a better watch. This 2019 version, you forget it. Like I'm already purging it from my memory, and you'd never watch it a second time, or at least this one you can revisit. So I'll give it that. And that's not me just being an old fogey saying old films are the best, because you know I've panned a lot of old films as well. And that's real, and it kind of goes along to its conclusion, where I don't want to spoil it, but she's in denial. Her storyline is she's in denial that it's her, that she's a carrier. And then it comes to a conclusion where she finds out, and it's done in a horrific way, but without all the secret cult nonsense or take over the world nonsense or that kind of thing. It was just an unfortunate series of events and an accident with an experimental procedure that created this. And definitely the better story. So there you go. I wasn't expecting to do a remake review, but it just happy circumstances. If Rabid wasn't a remake, if this was just a standalone movie, I would just be like, nah, not even worth your time. And this review would have been like 15 minutes. I just went, crap, don't watch it. It was good that I got to see the original as well, and afterwards. So I didn't have that thing in my head of, I've seen the original, here's my expectations. I was able to take the remake on its own merits, having not seen the original, and then by visiting the original, I'd already made my mind up about the remake on its own merits. Then watching the original, I was able to appreciate even the time span of over 40 years, how well the movie stands up. So there you go. I'm glad you enjoyed it. That took me a minute to get through, because it took me longer than I thought getting through the book. And then comparing a book to a TV memory series to cinema releases, that took a wee bit of thought and planning out. I actually had to do notes for that one, which, you know me, I like to just go off the cuff most of these reviews. Glad you enjoyed it. That's what I'm trying to do now. Just when I have time, as well as doing the quick short reviews, I want to go in depth to certain things. My next major one will be Let the Right One In. I believe Eugene and I are going to do that. Eugene Baker, or sorry, Eugene McLean. We'll look at the book, the TV series, and the two films. So that's going to be a lot of notes to compare those. That's quite a bit for one story. That book was a struggle. I'll not lie. I struggled, and I can normally, especially fiction books, I can go through them in a matter of days. I can tear through them, especially when I've got an hour and a half each morning on commute. I should be able to get through more books than I do, but that book was ridiculous. That was a really hard read. And it wasn't complicated, it was just boring. It really was a struggle to get through that. Fair play to the filmmakers for at least making it a watchable story, because you wouldn't revisit the book again after doing it once. But there you go. Dale, I will look at your suggestion. In fact, just a wee favour, drop us a message with a link to the IMDb or something, what it's about, so I can go and look it up, just to make sure I'm on the right one, and I'll try and adapt it over the weekend. Tomorrow night, we have our next horrific tale, Hello Dolly. That's dropping at the usual time. We're nearly at I've only like 3 stories to do to get to the 100. So any submissions, gratefully accepted. Cameron's a story, I have a story just to finish recording, and then that's everything caught up. So open now for more submissions from our authors. As always, it's a rolling thing. I just don't want to take on too many at once, so people are waiting. It's all it's all a balancing act. I want to get enough stories that will keep going, but don't want to have people hanging around for like weeks waiting for us to record them. Well, you kind of know my views on Stephen King. I've been quite vocal. I don't appreciate the guy. And the more I've seen him in later life and his nastiness really makes me dislike him more. And therefore, I don't like, if somebody puts me off them as a person, I'm not going to support them as an artist, am I? It just happened that book. Like, I'm not going to go out of my way to buy his books. Some of the movies have been decent, so I'm not gonna. But I think anything new, I'm not gonna rush myself to pick up anything. Yeah, we're at 96/97 stories at the moment. So that's, if you think about the time, we've been going 2.5 years. There's nearly 100 stories. 80 or 90 off, because obviously we had multiple submissions from people like yourself, Dale. So let's say 80 plus authors we have featured on this show, which is what it's all about. Because as the more I delve into these mainstream movies, mainstream books, Stephen King, let's be honest, the publishing houses, the mainstream media, they tell you this is horror. This is what you should read. If it doesn't say New York Times bestseller, don't read it. And it's the same trite over and over again. It gets to a point where authors might have had their own flavor, but then it all becomes homogenized as they run out of ideas and just have to keep churning out book after book. And you can almost beat for beat read them and get the same stuff. What we want to do in this channel is bring in fresh blood, new people, new ideas. I want to break the narrative. I'm sick and tired of like mainstream media stuff dictating what we should read and watch. I'm sick and tired of the online mob dictating what we should read. And everyone have to mind their P's and Q's, especially in the horror genre now, which is laden. You see, there's certain groups and collectives that do all the virtue signaling, that like it's like they're apologizing for being a horror fan or a horror creator, and they feel they have to overcompensate by virtue signaling. I've brought this up before. It's like, stop it, own what you are, enjoy it, embrace it, and you'll be a lot happier for it. Stop going along with the online mob and what some idiot puppet on a TV channel who only reads what they're given anyway. They don't even have their own thoughts. Their scripts are written from them. It's bland, it's mediocre. Let's break the cycle. If you support one independent creator, should it be an independent movie, book, somebody that creates figurines, clothing, it doesn't matter. You just by supporting one, actually putting your hand in your pocket and helping that person's business grow, you're helping. And that means the world. The big companies will just be like, yeah, thanks very much, whatever. And you're just a statistic. I guarantee you, you buy an independent author's book, you review it. If you watch somebody's movie that they've crowdfunded for or contributed to the crowdfunding, they will be extremely grateful, because as you've seen, I've had multiple interviews with creators on this, and they just want their chance to succeed or fail on their own merits, and that's all we can ask. What this channel tries to do is give people like that an opportunity. That's what it's all about. At least it's a starting point. You get a chance to get your stuff out there. We help as best we can, but in the end of the day, unless people are prepared to support independent creators, and I mean by buy their goods, not expect free stuff, because a thing I've noticed with authors, sorry, I'm going off on a wee bit of a tangent, but seeing I've got people in the chat and we're live and you're watching various platforms, I may as well reiterate what we're about here. You can like and share till the cows come home, but that doesn't mean anything to somebody that's given of their time to create and put something out there. By actually supporting them directly, purchasing their works, share, if you've purchased it, share it, review it. Every little bit helps. and we have a couple of across all platforms with a couple of thousand people watch this channel. Collectively, you could change the lives. Say 100 of you supported an author. Say 100 of you supported another author. Say another 100 of you supported an indie film project. That's the difference between a succeeding and failing. That's the difference between somebody getting the motivation to carry on or feel completely despondent. Because even with this, sometimes I get this one, I wonder, why am I doing this? Is anybody watching? And it's not about ego, it's just about, is this worthwhile doing? And every interaction, every like, every share, every one of you that turn up in the chat, everyone that comes on the show, everyone that shares material, use the ones that spur me on to keep doing this. And I really appreciate it. It does give me heart. And if I see somebody else succeed, if I see somebody that maybe wasn't going to try something and they step up, that means I'm doing something worthwhile. And that means more to me than all the validation or pats in the back of the day. It's actually seeing tangible results for your efforts. And I think anyone that has a work ethic, anyone that has that creative spark, wants to make something and put something out there in the world, getting that sort of validation is everything. So I understand completely, as a creator myself, what can motivate folks. And if I can help in any way, that's what we'll do. But you folks that are watching, thank you. And if you just do what you can, not just for the channel, but use the channel as a vehicle, highlight the authors, highlight the creators I've talked to. It's good talking about these movies because this is what's chundered out. Some good, some bad, but the most is just, it's a product. That's all it is, just a product. Consume, forget about it. When you see that and you're able to compare it to what somebody's put their heart and soul into, I think you know where you're going. But there you go. There's my review and a wee bit of a rant as well, and a bit of a preaching session and call the arms. But we're going into a new year. This channel has grown. It keeps growing. Yeah, I haven't went viral. I don't think I'll ever will. I don't really care about that. But the fact that I see more and more people come on board every week, every month, I see more and more interaction. I have people prepared to take part. That gives me the motivation to keep doing this. And a lot of my friends have made it of this as well. And I can't reiterate that enough. Everyone talks about social media as being a negative thing. Everyone talks about YouTubers or whatever as this nasty, negative, just the worst of humanity. Well, I disagree. That might be the vocal message put out there, but some of the friendships I've made here, some of the collaborations have been absolutely amazing. And I think it's worth putting that message out there too, that if done properly with the right attitude and the correct mindset and an extremely shiny head. Oh my God, have you seen the way the lights get off my head here? Sorry, I've actually got a blue streak on my head. Oh my God. Sorry, that just completely threw me there. But yeah, we've seen positive, we've laughed at things, we've connected with each other, we've broken down barriers, people that we've never even meet each other in the world because we're all over the globe, different walks of life. That's what this is about. And if we get more of that happening, then you can be the counterbalance to the rampaging mob that just wants to go around and destroy. There's a horror app I use called Slasher, and somebody mentioned about, you know, books being destroyed and fiction and living in a world without it. And there's people actively trying to create that. It's just madness. So be the antithesis, be the positive change. And it's just funny that the dark, spooky people are the ones that have more of a chance of creating that change than the so-called nice people who write romantic fiction and comedy and all that stuff. The positive people are the most toxic, and all us spooky weirdos have a better outlook in life. I wonder what it could be. Could it be embracing the darkness, maybe? Is a positive thing? Well, there you go. There's my sermon ended. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Keep up to date with the channel with our scheduled episodes on that's coming up. So please watch, subscribe, join in the chat, keep up with the channel, do the tidy clicky things. And until next time, keep it creepy. keep it horrific.